So this is Perceptions of Science, assignment 4, and we're talking today about pressure groups and their effect on developing science, and how it affects the scientific developments in certain fields, and is it possible for these pressure groups to stop development, and is money the root of all of these and in science? So what are pressure groups? Pressure groups are organisations varying in size depending on the people and the funding that they receive. They campaign for change in laws and legislations through protest petitions and other various advertising means. They can have a major impact in the public's opinion, shaping the government, and even in the scientific field, the processes and the laws and procedures that it contains. Greenpeace is one of the titans of world change and has led in some of the biggest campaigns globally. It's one of the biggest influencers, and the non-profit organisation receives enough financial and personnel backing from the public that it's managed to end nuclear testing in one of its recent campaigns. It's been fighting climate change, and big companies that are contributing to it through their waste management and other factors through who they're funding and collaborating with. And they're currently even tackling the issue of whaling in countries like Japan and Iceland. Greenpeace are so well backed and resourced, they're even starting to involve themselves in campaigns against political issues in war-torn countries like Jordan and the Middle East as well. So if Greenpeace can do all this, why aren't other groups making such an impact? The answer is money, and without funding there is no way to make change. From the funding required to book onto radio stations and advertise, the money needed to make protest signs. Money is the root of most things, and without money very little can be done. Some groups are better funded than others. Greenpeace, for example, is one of the best funded and manned organisations for a protest group and for a pressure group. They have the sources and the abilities to reach out globally and make huge impacts on society. Greenpeace had the initial incentive just to tackle environmental issues, but they've gained so much power and voice through people and funding that other problems raised by the public they were able to get involved with, such as CND, which is Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament's work. And they helped them abolish the nuclear weapons testing. So Greenpeace is so well equipped and so well funded. They have access to every social media pages, advertisements in all formats, be it TV, billboards, and in magazines, newspapers. They have representatives in politics. They have fleets of ships, vans, planes, helicopters, humanitarian supplies that they can take over to countries that need it, and they have their own scientists working on environmental solutions and alternatives to the likes of animal testing and other issues such as waste management to tackle global warming. So with this power and finance, they've had the ability and moved through many different world issues and many campaigns. They've worked with other groups such as WWF, the World Wildlife Fund, and have collaborated with many other pressure groups, helping them in their campaigns, big and small. Advocates for animals as well, they worked with in terms of animal testing campaigns. Major companies as well that are worth billions contribute to Greenpeace, such as Nike, Apple, Walmart, Coca-Cola. And they do this to build their own reputation, really, because it improves their business. It gives them a better view from the public as being a more eco-friendly company. It's also considered and thought that companies like this also buy into Greenpeace and companies because as the pressure group giant, it leverages the companies for the campaigners to stay away from their company and not put it under the spotlight because they're funding so much money into Greenpeace that Greenpeace wouldn't want to break that tie that they have with them by investigating into them. So for the likes of smaller impacts, can they make an impact too? Well, small underfunded groups may struggle to get the same outreach as the giants such as Greenpeace, but Friends of the Earth is an international organisation of different sort of smaller environmental groups and pressure groups that tackle the smaller environmental issues. They're not as well funded or connected, but they've managed to come together and raise the funding to create a website to post their news updates, social media pages, and other different forms of advertising that they need for their smaller campaigns. The website works sort of more as a funding page, such as Just Giving, where you can go on and look through a multitude of different campaigns that are being run locally and globally, and you can donate to the ones that you choose. It's better for them as a smaller organisation to have many small campaigns and wins on the go than fewer bigger wins like Greenpeace does, with, for example, focusing on whaling for the entire year, and when they get it finished, moving on to another big global issue. They don't have the funding for that quite yet. So Friends of the Earth, and in comparison to Greenpeace, definitely aren't as big, but they do occasionally work together. Greenpeace has helped Friends of the Earth with many of their different smaller campaigns, and even some of their bigger ones too. Unlike Greenpeace, Friends of the Earth actually have full autonomy and have the freedoms to write press releases. Greenpeace have the public's trust, though, that they can make press releases and be trusted through that, though, because they are a bigger organisation. Greenpeace, being the bigger organisation, has 130 supporters, or 130,000 estimated supporters in the UK and 2.8 million worldwide. Friends of the Earth, in comparison, have 100,000 active financial supporters and 75,000 volunteers, which is a fraction of the amount. Greenpeace receive and work with around 38 million euros each year. Friends of the Earth are working with substantially less, as they have a very small percentage of followers compared to that, to Greenpeace, and the exact amounts weren't available because their annual reports were not made public on their website as of yet. So in conclusion, creating change does require three things. It requires hard work, funding and following. It takes time and lots of small wins, locally and globally. A lot of teamwork and the right message to send out to the public to build a following, to gain the funding and tackle the bigger issues in the future. Overall, money is the route, though, from what I can see, to making change in today's society. Without it, you have no voice and you have not really any room to go very far. For those that do have the voice, though, they can make the huge change in the way science is practiced and presented throughout the world, and can force faster development in different fields such as animal testing, or stop development in the name of the people, such as nuclear weapons, disarmament. So that's all I have to say about money in relation to pressure groups. Thank you for listening, and that is my merit complete.